morning, everyone, and welcome to another exciting session of Digital Vidya webinars. The topic for today's webinar is how to build a career in data science. And to lead the webinar, we have with us Atul Tripathi, who is a data scientist with 16 years of enriched experience in artificial intelligence and machine learning. He is also an author of two books on machine learning and its applications across various verticals. I welcome you, Atul, in this webinar session, and now over to you.
So thank you, Niharika, and hello everybody. My name is Atul Tripathi, and we'll talk today about how you can make a good career in the new emerging technologies, as we call it, as artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, uh, some more topics such as IoT, what career paths you need to take, and some exciting areas that are upcoming, such as blockchain, what kind of certifications that one needs to have, what are the various roles, responsibilities that every individual has to undergo during his daily course of work, and what kind of skills that you would need in order to make a career path. So let's start this session. Having said that, just a second. So first thing first, we need to understand what is the difference between the three roles that we are looking at in today's world: data science, analytics, big data. So let's look at one at a time. Data science is basically a collection. It's a field where you're trying to process theories, concepts, and you're trying to apply various kind of mathematical and scientific tools around the situation, the systems, in order to build a scenario for a business. From raw information that you have. While if you compare it with data analytics, it is a process of examining data sets. Now, why is it that? Because you're trying to draw some conclusion, because there are certain information that is there. So you're trying to figure out certain patterns from the data. You're trying to find out. Whereas big data is about understanding volumes of data. When you have large data sets from both structured and unstructured. So let me just talk about the word unstructured here. I would use that. So when I say unstructured, it can be text, it can be speech, it can be video, it can be anything you're looking at that is not in numbers and columns and rows. So this is about the three different fields of technology that have come into picture. Now it's very important to understand these three different fields, because based on these fields, one would be taking a choice of the career that one wants to make. So it's very important that people understand and appreciate what is their choice. This is an individual choice that you have to make. Nobody can take a call on your behalf. You will have to take a call on that. Having said that, let's look at some of the areas such as where it can be applied. So it can be digital advertisements, internet research, image processing, or for data analytics it can be energy, healthcare management. For big data, it can be financial services is a very classical example where financial industry is trying to understand various kind of information that is flowing, whether it is the past historical records or or even the present records that are flowing from various sources. Education can be an interesting area. Education is actually a very interesting area where you're looking at not only the records of the students, but also their behavioral issues, their health issues, their food issues, their nutrition issues, all of them, and in a 24 into 7 real-time systems. So these are some of the application areas. Having said that, some of the tools that would need, and this is just a starting point, please take it that way. So data science is about understanding technologies and applying a lot of analysis based on certain mathematical and statistical and computer science concepts. That's where Python or SQL as a language comes into picture. Whereas analytics is more about understanding the conclusion. So you can use R as a tool, Tableau as a tool, or in case of big data, since it's a large scale of processing of architecture, you will be using it something like Hadoop or NoSQL or Hive. These can be good examples to look at. So now, what is it that we are trying to do? We are trying to derive some business value based on certain degrees of intelligence. So we are trying to do some ad hoc reporting, standard reporting. We have all the way moved to some statistical analysis. Now we are trying to move to predictive modeling and forecasting. This is where the entire game of this entire business, I would say business uh, uh, analytics or data science or engineering or that has come into picture. Having said that, there are three different types of areas that we've looked at now: data scientists, data engineers, and business analysts or data analysts. All of them are important. None of them are any way less in any ways as far as the organization is concerned. And one can make a good career in any one of these fields. So there's no dearth of, please do not consider that this is good and this is not so good and this is so charming, that's not so charming. All of these fields are very important for a business perspective. So all of them have a good career option, can be an excellent career option for a youngster who's starting off. So let's look at what does the data scientist do. He's able to take decisions based on the projects from end to end, where he's trying to analyze data from a large amount of data, and he's trying to do some predictive modeling based on the present findings. So in order to do this, you need certain skills like mathematics, programming, communication is very important, because ultimately you are trying to try some and solve somebody's business problem at the end of the day. So you must have a good communication skill in order to communicate to the stakeholders, the business holders, who will be giving you the problem statements, and you will be using that problem statement to convert and to solve a problem. So in order to do this, you need certain languages or skill sets like Python, R, SQL, all these things. Whereas a data engineer is also known as is a person who's a very generalized. He's a versatile generalist who is trying to use computer science and who's trying to do a large scale processing of data sets. So they're basically trying to code, they're trying to clean up a lot of data sets that are there, implement requests that come from various data scientists. Now, why I say cleaning up of data sets? Because generally the data that you tends to get is not clean, it is not organized. So one has to clean that data, one has to organize that data in order to come up with a good model. Because if you do not have a clean data set, how do you process that? How do you make an informed decision? In order to have this, you need to have certain skill sets such as programming, mathematics, big data, and some of the skills like Hadoop, NoSQL, Python. These are good ones that one should go through all these them. Data analysts, another very important thing. They typically help to people from across the company understand certain specific queries. So if I have a query, say I'm looking, I am say I'm working in the field of education, and I want to understand why is there a drop of students from my school or university. So I go to a data analyst and I tell him or her that please help me out. Have a look at this data sets that I have. For last 10 years, there's been a lot of dropout from my school. Can you please help me? So that person will sit down, talk across with you. He'll try and figure out what exactly is happening, then tell you based on the discussions that he'll do some or she will do some statistical analysis based on the business knowledge that you have given from the business side, that your problem statement, that this is what is the reason why it is going to happen. So it can be because of perhaps there is a lack of teaching expertise, or it is also as simple as lack of food that is required for the children. So these are the kind of typically a work that a data analyst would carry out. He or she will be should be good with Excel, Tableau, SQL. Now Excel is very important tool, as a please do not underestimate the value of this tool. We often tend to do that. Please do not do that. My request would be, having said that, uh, so having said that, uh, this is a very important tool. The Excel as a power is a lot of power. One should see that through, and one should be able to use it and use it in a very effective manner. Tableau is very important because it helps you to visualize data. It helps people tell what exactly is going to happen, how your data would look like, and you'll be able to do a good storytelling that this is what the data is, this is the reason why. See, ultimately, at the end of the day, the problem, the business side or the person who's giving you a problem statement he or she does not have an understanding of the technology behind him. You have to give him a solution. So you have to tell him that this is the reason why this is happening. And how you tell them? Tableau is a very good tool that can be used. It's a good visualization tool, and people should definitely go through this thing because it gives you a lot of. It's a very good career as an option because to be very frank with you, I can make the best of the models, I can make the best of the systems, but if I'm not able to tell what exactly is my data saying, I would have lost the story because I would not be able to communicate. So visualization is a very powerful tool that one should be utilizing, and it can be a good career option for a youngster. And trust me, it gives you the maximum amount of joy because you're playing around with colors, you're playing around with creativity. So it gives you a very good feeling about yourself, and one should definitely look at this. This is a very good tool because, to be very frank with you, as a data scientist, one of the biggest challenge that I face is how do I get a good visualization person, somebody do the visualization part for me, because that takes a lot of pressure off my work. And it can be as simple as things like what should be the size of the font, what should be the size of the color, what color fonts you should use, what kind of a communication skills that one should have. So you're basically trying to sell a story through data. It's an excellent way of making a good career in visualization. So Tableau can be one of the tools. There are other such tools such as D3JS and others. Now, having said that, let's just go back to the a bit of a where we stand at this time period. So, if you're a data or an engineering person, you can become. It's an easiest transition point to become a data analyst. Similarly, if you're doing a business school, something economics or something like that, or you're a business analyst, MBA, then you can become a great business analytics professional. Or if you're very good with your statistics, computer science, algorithms, then you can definitely do a lot of predictive modeling, predictive analytics. So it depends upon what your strengths are as an individual and where do you want to take your career path to. That is going to be the deciding factor. Nothing else would be. So based on this thing, where do you stand? This diagram only gives you the easiest transition point. It is not. It does not mean that this is the transition point. So it will be depending upon your choice. It is quite possible that you may be a business or an MBA person, but you're very good with numbers. So you can definitely become a great data analyst, or you can also become a great predictive analytics professional if you're able to learn some of the fundamentals of machine learning and statistics and all these things. Entirely upon you as a choice. Having said that, let's look at some of the data management roles we are looking at in today's world. So you have data analyst, as we discussed. He's trying to, or she's trying to, this person is trying to extract data from the business system and is trying to analyze, create value out of it, get you to highlight the trends, business information for the end users. Then we have a quality engineer, data quality engineer is trying to find out, clean the data, bad data that is there. So it is quite possible that in your system, your databases, there will be a lot of data, but this is not very clean. This is a very good role opportunity for youngsters, to help organize the lot of data that is there. Administrator, database administrator is another excellent career option today for a youngster, where you're trying to ensure that they meet the service level agreements. So when a company is trying to enter a contract with another company, they say, okay, these are certain service level agreements that we are going to go through. We are going to maintain certain things. That is the role of a database administrator. Then another role that one can aspire for is a data modeler, where you're trying to create rules and conceptual arguments and logical and physical data models around them to translate into database designs. Then you have a BI engineer, business intelligence engineer. Now, this is a very exciting role. It is a boundary of where I would call it. This is one boundary that is. It's a boundary between art and science. So it's an excellent and a very exciting area, and I personally love it. It's about creating dashboards. It's about creating reports. It's about creating interactiveness of the data. So can you think through some of the various ways of doing interesting storytelling around this data thing? This is a very challenging and a very exciting one. Data engineer, another very exciting career opportunity for a youngster, where you're trying to do a lot of data pipelining. You're trying to create a big data platform and integrate businesses, databases from various sources, data warehouses, data lakes you're creating. These will be some of the responsibilities that you'll be going through. Similarly, a data scientist, very often spoken word. What is he trying to do? He's trying to gather information from various databases. He's trying to run machine learning algorithms, trying to do some predictive modeling based on the set of data that he has, create some visualizations for the business users. And an architect is another exciting role that one can aspire for, where you're looking at the trying to implement databases, systems, data models, components you're trying to integrate, evaluate and recommend models, purchase. All these are so any one of them you can aspire to be in. All of them, trust me, are very great paying fields. They're all exciting fields. So none of them is less or more. I mean, it depends entirely your skill sets, what your choices are. So you have as varied things as such as visualization to SQL, where you're trying to do fire some SQL into your database and you're trying to do a performance tuning, or your modeling, or say Python. You're very good with if one feels I'm very good and excited about Python or R program. I can do that. I can take up any one of them. It depends upon you as an individual, and nobody can be your choice. It is your career. You are on the exciting path. You're in the right time, right place, right thing. So it is entirely you as an individual. Trust me, all of them are exciting. Having said that, let's just go a bit further down the line and let's see what happens. Uh, okay So, I mean, let's just look at terms of roles and responsibilities. So, if you're a data architect, what would you be doing? As I just said, you'll be creating data warehouse solutions, you'll be doing ETL tools, you'll be doing a lot of data modeling work. If you're a data engineer, you'll be doing a lot of data modeling, which is an overlap of your data architect, but in a more smaller way. Whereas an architect has to look at a larger concept and apply everything, and do a lot of architect construction. So your job would be to design systems where you'll be doing a lot of testing, installing data warehouse solutions. So it's quite possible that you have some solutions, but you need to, integrate it with third-party solutions where it is easier for everybody to work fast. Similarly, data analyst, an excellent role where you're doing a lot of visualization, applying statistical. So if you're very good with your statistical, if you feel very excited about statistics, probability, mathematics, this is one career I would recommend to everybody. Similarly, if you feel you're very good with your computer science skills, and you can do a lot of querying, and you can do a lot of storytelling, you can do a lot of predictive modeling, and you have good on knowledge on machine learning, then data science is one, or become a data scientist is another exciting opportunity that one can look at. Now let's look at some. I just took this as a case study where you're looking at data life cycle. What you're trying to do. If one is you're trying to understand the business. Two, you're trying to extrapolate data. Feature engineering, where it is about cutting the features and adding more, adding more to the, that is adding more noise. So sometimes you do not need certain features in order to solve a problem. Data mining. What from where will your data come from? What are the multiple sources you're looking at? How do you organize this? Data cleaning is another important area. How do you clean your data? A lot of times you'll be getting data, but it will not be clean. You'll need to organize yourself. You need to do a good, organizational thing. You'll have to organize you have to clean your course data. Visualization is another thing that a data scientist needs to look at. He or she needs to understand that, okay, if have got a very good I have a very good say story to tell on data. How do I sell this? How do I tell the story? Okay, this is what your data looks like, this is what your data is saying. So data visualization can be a great tool, and it's a great tool that every data scientist needs to have on his or her side. Predictive modeling is what the ultimate goal of a data scientist is. Can you predict the next upcoming things? Can you predict the next upcoming, say, weather patterns? Can you predict the upcoming next, say, when is the customer going to churn out? Can I predict the next upcoming stock market movement? So prediction is a very important thing. So how does a modern data scientist look like? I just took this one as an example. There can be many. So what are the things that you need to do? I'll just reiterate myself. You need to know a lot of machine learning, statistical modeling. Now, machine learning and statistical modeling are almost on the boundary of each other. They're like a So you may need to do a lot of it's kind of a statistical modeling and machine learning. There are like cross domain where you're trying to do a lot of statistical work around it, around the data, and then you go in a bit more deep and advanced way of doing a lot of machine learning stuff. Having said that, you have to do a lot of experiment and designing. You need to do good, to have a good amount of statistic probability, optimization theories, supervised, unsupervised learning skills that you need to have. On the programming aspects, you need to be very good with your Python statistical packages such as R, databases, NoSQL, SQL. relational algebra, map reduce concepts, Hadoop, Pig, Hive. All these are the concepts that you need to be very good with. Similarly, you should have a very, very good skills on the soft skills part. So please, I would request all the young people, be please spend time picking up the soft skills, whether it is presentation, communication, writing skills, because you have to tell the story, and you have to be very curious about data. So you have to look at the data not only from the standard perspective, but you have to think deeper. What is this data trying to say? What else do I need to do I need what other data source do I need to have in order to tell a story? That's another important point. Communication, as I said, it's about translating your ability to all the models that you have made, all the interesting insights that you have got from the data. How do you sell this? How do you tell the person concerned that, okay, this is what is my story looks like, this is what my data looks like, and this is what is going to you are going to gain. So what are the kind of packages that you need? So you need to be very good with your R packages such as ggplot or lattice. I'm sure you must have heard about it. You need to be very good with your visualization tools such as Flare, D3JS, as I said sometime back, Tableau, another very important one. So you have to be very excellent with these kind of skill sets that one need to have. Having said that, there are certain other parts that one can do look at in the big data field as well. You can be either a data scientist or an engineer. We've just looked at it. Machine learning scientist, visualization developer, business intelligence engineer, architect, specialist. These kind of roles that one can aspire for. So I'll just make a comparison, because we often tend to get confused between a data analyst and a data scientist. I would again go back and say both of them are equally important. Please do not undermine anybody's role. It's about getting value for the business. So having said that, this is very important thing. If you look at the type of data that the data scientist handles, he's handling unstructured as well as structured data. He's expected to handle, whereas the data analyst is generally expected to handle expected to handle structured data. But if you're a data analyst and you can handle unstructured data, that means you can handle text and you can handle speech, and you can draw insights from all kind of images. You are doing an excellent work. So, and that will depend again the kind of scope and the work that you'll be involved in. So generally a data scientist is involved in several underlying of data procedures, whereas a data analyst is more of a, you're trying to do the same thing but on a very small data sets, and you're trying to do a lot of statistical inferences that you're trying to gather. So based on this, you also need to have your tools and your skills that you need to have. So a data scientist should be very good with the mathematics, statistics, programming skills, whereas a data analyst should be an excellent person with your statistics, and the kind of skills and the tools that you'd be need as a data analyst would be Excel, R, Tableau, Python. Similarly, for data scientists, you need to have a lot of great in-depth of Python, R. There's a framework called as TensorFlow, Hadoop as a framework, Spark as a framework. So all these ideas that you need to have. So it's very important to have this distinction between a data analyst and a data scientist. Let me again go back and say the same thing. Both of them are equally important. Please do not undermine any one of them. Now, there's another area that has come up, and that is called as a front-end developer versus a back-end developer. Now, this is very important because you see, ultimately, it's about developing a large system, and it's a team game. Please try and understand everybody that you should understand and appreciate that this is a complete team game for everybody. So when we say, some of the favorite tools for a front-end developer could be, say, Angular, CSS, HTML, JavaScript, iQuery, bootstrapping, iconic. Whereas for a backend developer, you should be very good with the PHP, C Sharp, Ruby, Python, MySQL, Node.js, MongoDB. Um, as far as the strength is concerned, you should be very good with the. If you're a front-end developer, you should be creative, you should be imaginative, you should be driven by a lot of curiosity, and you should have a good visualization skill. Again, I would go back. Why visualization skills? Because you're trying to do something for the front end. You're trying to I mean, just imagine one of the applications that you're using on your mobile, or the websites that you're seeing. If that is not very attractive, we generally tend to ignore those things because we say, oh, okay, this might be good, but it's not very attractive. So as a front end person, you have to be very good with your presentation skills. You have to be very curious how you can do better things. Whereas strength would be for a backend person would be, should have a detailed, or you should have very good organized. You should be very organized. You should be having a look at the detailed thing. Uh, Complexity is very important. How can you handle complex logics that is there? So these are the kind of skills that one need to have as a person, as a data person that is there. Um, Front end developer is another very good career opportunity that has come up. So as the back end developer. So please try and understand all of these are very important things. So the applications that we see on our mobiles are generally developed by the front end people, but a lot of back end work goes on before we see the small bits of information that goes on, that is pushed onto our applications on the mobile handsets. Having said that, let's just go back to let's go further, and let's look at the kind of strength that is important. So programming tools for all the four of the for all the four of these roles is very important. Whether you're a data engineer, whether you're a data scientist, whether you're a data analyst, you should be good with programming. Now, depending upon your programming, depending upon your role, your programming skills would also change. So somebody should be, so say if you're a data engineer, you should be very good with your Python skilling, because you're doing a large scale systems. Whereas if you're a data scientist, Python along with R would be great. Similarly, if you're a data analyst, obviously you have to be very good with your with R as a Python skilling. No, sorry, R as a programming packages you should be very good with. Similarly, some software engineering skills that will be very important for data engineer, because you're trying to do a build a large system which is very complex in nature. Processing, it's basically trying to do a lot of information pulling from various sources, and it's about a very important complex areas that you're looking at. Therefore, software engineering is going to be principles of software engineering that we have studied will be very important. So it will depend upon your strength, your area of choice, your confidence level on an area that you can pick and choose your career path. These are some of the very specific skills that I thought too would be very important, or maybe of a good maybe good for an individual. So all three of these roles, So if you're trying to aspire to be a great software engineer, you should be very good with the jQuery, .NET platforms, web services, agile methodologies. These are new technologies that have come into. Similarly, if you're trying to do a lot of data engineering work, you should be very good with your Hadoop and databases and Unix and there is a lot of overlapping between all of them. So if you look at this Venn diagram, you'll see that the software engineer and data engineer, somebody who's trying to aspire for both of them, both of roles. So if you're very good with the MySQL or SQL queries, and you're good with Linux, JavaScript, you can move into any of the roles. Similarly, if you're very good with your big data, Python, data analysis, you can either become a data engineer or a data scientist. Because you see, it will depend upon the role that one is trying to aspire for. Will depend your skills and your data roles will be important. Now, some of the skills that how do you build a good career path as far as analytics is career. So you should have a good sense of curiosity, mathematically oriented, big picture vision. You should be able to sell a story using all kind of tools such as Tableau, D3JS, visualization tool, the ggplot, and all that stuff. Attention to detail, very important, because ultimately the devil lies in the detail, as they say. The very finest grain can we get to the holiest grain that we are looking at. Good communication skills. I may be very good with my programming skills. I may be an excellent data engineer. I may be excellent with programming. I can do a lot of good things. But if I'm not able to communicate with my team, if I'm not able to communicate with the business side, which is giving me a problem statement, and understand that problem statement and translate that problem statement into all kind of algorithms, then I don't think so we have won the game. So you have to be very good, and teamwork, very important. Please understand, this is not an individual game. It's a team game. All of us are important. Data scientists, data engineer, data analysts, visualization people, all of us are important. None of us are anyway less. Please do not think that this person is less and that person is this. This is a mistake we tend to make at the very start of a career, and that can cause a lot of damage, both professionally as well as personally. So I would request all the youngsters out there aspiring to be a data scientist, a great data scientist, please try and understand, please appreciate everybody's role is important. Everybody is important out here. None of us are less. Interpersonal interpretation skills, initiative. You have to take a bit of initiative. You have to be a bit of a go together kind of a person in order to figure out that the team can rely on. Having said that, let's just go back. Let's just go further, I would say, and see what we can do. Okay, I want to become a data scientist or a AI ML engineer. What do I need to do? What is the first step that I need to do? I need to have a very good starting concepts of mathematics and statistics. So you see this point one, this is what where it could be a good starting point. Then I should be having a very good scripting languages skills such as Python, R, Java, database skills, MongoDB, SQL. I must be very good with machine learning algorithms. So machine learning algorithms such as supervised, unsupervised. I should be exploring a lot of libraries, both machine learning as well as non-machine learning, because it is quite possible that you may be needing certain non-machine learning libraries as well. So you should be knowing them. Deep learning skills. You should be so libraries, algorithms that are there. Your visualization tool. These are the paths that you need to take. Similarly, you should be very good going ahead. You should develop yourself in big data tools such as Hadoop, Spark. So by the time you've done all your 7 steps, you're good with your BI and data visualization tool. You've become a good data machine learning engineer. Having said that, you just go a bit more. You explore yourself further. You push yourself a boundary a bit further, and you get these big data tools, Hadoop, Spark, and similarly some of the cloud platforms that have become very important in today's world, and you can become a great data scientist. But please remember, again, I would go back and say it's a team game. So this is one of the paths that one can take through. So one can start looking at any one of them and start building up your base as per the requirements. Now, this is a path that one can take through to become a cloud engineer or a day architect, or career path. So you should be as a starting point. Your Linux fundamentals should be good. You should be excellent with your fundamentals, your core, your understanding about Linux as a both in the scripting languages, your command over the Linux has to be an excellent. Similarly, you should have a great programming scripting language skills such as Python or Ruby, and your database storage should be very good, NoSQL and all that stuff. Cloud platforms, you should be an excellent one with. So you can pick up any one of the cloud platforms. You can do a lot of trainings on that. Automation tools have become an important thing. Container management tools such as Docker, Kubernetes has become another one. So now, by the time you have completed your point number 6, you're already a cloud engineer, and you can other go on to master some of the other cloud migration methodologies such as Snowball or Microsoft Migrate. These are new technologies that have come into picture, and by the time you have mastered all of them, you're almost become a good cloud engineer or an architect. Now, this will again depend upon the kind of career path that you aspire for, whether you want to become a good engineer or a good data scientist. It will depend upon your strength. If you're good with Linux fundamentals, please go ahead. That can be a great starting point for a cloud engineer or an architect. And if you're very good with the mathematical statistical concepts, probability, that can be a great starting point for a data scientist. So it will depend entirely upon you as an individual. Now, big data analytics is another area that has come up into today's world, and there are certain career paths you can take to. So, like identifying high value opportunities, if you're very good with it, if you can establish the right architecture and funding models, prove value to the business, expand by additional use cases, and then transform the data driven culture. It's a very important thing. So now I'll just take you through some of the certifications and things like that. Now, I'm sure all of us must have heard about something called as a blockchain. What is it? It's a shared digital ledger. In other words, it's being constantly updated. So it's a peer-to-peer network which is either public or private, and every member in the community is trying to do a consensus, mechanism to verify a transaction that has been through, and you're trying to create a unique or permanent audit trail in order to have a single point of view, and that becomes a blockchain. So you have Ethereums and you have Bitcoins and other such cryptocurrencies that are there. So having said that, this is just a fundamental view of what is blockchain. This is just a basic view. I would not even say that. Having said that, some of the career paths that one can take to in order to become a good with blockchain, because this is becoming a very important thing. This has become a very important career path in today's world. So you can become a blockchain developer, blockchain quality engineer, expert, architect, project manager, blockchain engineer, or a blockchain legal consultant. So even people working in legal areas, legal frameworks can walk into this new technologies, and they are also playing very important role. These are some of the career paths that one can aspire for. Having said that, what are some of the paths that you can take? You can be if you have a good programming and scripting languages, and you can do a lot of version controlling management tools you're very good with. Similarly, your web development skills, your database skills, cryptocurrencies, and blockchain fundamental skills. So once you have all of them in blocks, you have all of these uh, components together, stitched together, and you have a great distributed computing platform in ideas and ideologies. You become a great, it can be a great career path for your blockchain as a developer or an engineer. I'll just skip through this one. Having said that, some of these the certifications that are there, it's coming from the blockchaincouncil.org. You can go through that website, blockchain council. You can clearly see on the left hand side, top right hand side, blockchain council is a big it's a council of membership where you can take, and you can become either, you can take any one of these certifications, and it is a great opportunity for young people. You can become either a certified blockchain expert or an architect, developer, hyperledger expert, hyperledger developer, corda expert, corda architect, quorum expert, or ethereum expert. Any one of them can be a great I would suggest that young people who are aspiring to be a great uh, great professionals can take one of these areas and take it down the line as per their likings, as per their strength. Another thing that has come up in today's world is about the IoT. Some of the job responsibilities or job roles that have come into things like professional triber or digital anthropologist or a 3D printing expert, robotics expert, cyber security analyst or network program. These are some of the new job roles that have come into picture in today's market, and anybody can aspire to be one of them. Take the career path depending upon your own choice and areas of expertise. It'll be great. Another area that I wanted to talk about was about GIS. Now, GIS is about GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. It's basically trying to analyze, store, manipulate, visualize data, but on a geographical map rather than on a dashboarding scale. So, what does it? Basically, it's about how does it help us? Because it is trying to integrate worldwide, real worldwide applications into a wide range of fields. So you can have GPS navigation is an example of where GIS is being used, or weather maps or ambulance dispatches. Where do you want to send your ambulance to? What is the best path to take to? How do you go to the various application based taxi services that we use? They're all using GIS field. You can Another area that one can aspire to be is a GIS as a field. Having said that, cybersecurity has become another area where one can aspire to be. As a young person, you can have a few important roles such as networking, software development. We've talked about it, security intelligence, financial risk, or you can have cybercrime analyst or an incident report analyst or responder, IT auditor. Similarly, you can aspire as you go ahead. You can become either a cybersecurity analyst or a consultant or a penetration and vulnerability tester. Similarly, at the advanced level of your career, you can become either a cybersecurity administrator or a cybersecurity architect or an engineer. So this will depend entirely upon your choice, your expertise, your levels of comfort with your. Having said that, some of the important things that one a data scientist or any of the aspiring careers that we are looking at can you can aspire for is some of the tools kits that you need to go through is Java, R, Python. Say if you're good with MapReduce, HDFS, Hadoop. Bonus would be the Spark and the Storm. These are some of the areas that one needs to be very good with as one goes about. So SPSS, MATLAB, SAS. This is going to give you a very good uh, I would say statistical packages. Similarly, D3GS, Gephi, ggplot2, Tableau, Flare, Shiny. These are very good tools that one should be very conversant if you are trying to aspire to be if you're aspiring to be a good visualization expert. You should be very good with all these tools, either individually or a combination of them. It can give you a great career opportunity. Similarly, NoSQL, MongoDB, Couchbase, Cassandra, all of them. If you have a good expertise on, you can become a great database administrator, a large cloud-based database administrator, or a data engineering-based architect or a database administrator. Some of the I wanted to talk about also about some of the websites that you need to keep a finger or a pulse on. I would suggest that please read through some of the tutorials that are there on CSS tricks, smashing magazines, guts, or networking sites such as GitHub, CoderWall, Stack Overflow. Please read through. A lot of questions are posed there, interesting questions. You can read through them. You can find a lot of things. As far as jobs are concerned, if you're looking at, you can go to hired.in or LinkedIn or Guru. These are some of the great development websites that you need to keep a track on and keep a pulse on these areas. Now, having said that, I'll just take you through this last slide, which we were talking about, where we talk about data science roles and how they interact among themselves. So you have data engineers and business stakeholders and data scientists. You can aspire to be any one of them. So depending upon your choice. So if you're good with your R, Python, but if you can clearly see that all of them are intersecting each other, so there's no single area that is there, and you can say that I am good with this and that's the end of my career. No, I mean, I would suggest that one should keep on reskilling, one should keep on learning new skills, because if I'm a good with data scientist, I should also aspire to be a good business stakeholder. I have to understand what the business is all about, what the business is trying to tell me, because I have to solve somebody's problem using all these things, all these technologies and new things that have come into picture. So I should develop a critical thinking, a business intelligence, a business acumen. How do I calculate my return of investment? How do I become a domain expert? How do I understand my financial value, financial analysis? How do I do a lot of storytelling, visualization? If I keep on adding these new skills, I can become another area of expertise that I can gain through is about the business stakeholder. Similarly, if I'm a good data scientist, I can become, if I add a good, if I have the ability to collect, analyze, visualize data, build up a depository, and build up an architecture and infrastructure. I would say that this can be a great opportunity for a business and to become a great data scientist, to become a great data engineer as well. Having said that, at the end of the story you're telling, I would only say this entire career is yours. Take a choice, take a call, do the best that you can do. And this is a great times we are living in. We all have got exciting opportunities at our hand. Let's take it further down the line. That is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Atul. It was indeed a valuable session. This is for the attendees. You can ask your questions, if any, to Atul right now. And by the time you do that, I'm launching a poll. Kindly put in your relevant choices. So if attendees have any questions with regard to this webinar session, you can go ahead and ask. You can write your questions on the question panel, and then I can connect you with him and he'll answer it.
Yeah, Niharika, I would request that if people can just frame their questions and you can collect it on their behalf
Yes,
and send it out to me, I would be very happy to respond to all of the questions as we go about. So, I mean, if they're still framing, they're still thinking through the
sure.
questions, we'll be very happy. I'll be very happy to answer all the questions. I hope that's okay with everybody.
So I don't think okay. So we have, I think, one question from Pavitra. She wants to ask something, but she hasn't framed any question as yet.
Sure, no problem.
Um,
You can just send it across to Niharika, and I will take it up further with Niharika. If you're still framing questions, no problem with that. Please feel free, frame your questions, send it across to Niharika. I'll definitely respond to all the questions.
sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Atul, for leading the webinar session for us. Audience. Lastly, I would like to launch another poll for today's session, as well as your experience. How was the webinar all about? Okay, Atul, I think we have a question. Abhinav Sharma asks, is it possible to build a career in data science having worked in telecom industry for 4 to 4.5 years?
Yes, Abhinav, you can definitely and you should definitely aspire to be a great data scientist because telecommunications is a very good area where there's a lot of data that is flowing around. And as I said sometime back in my presentation as well, that domains is very going to be very important. So you as an expert person who has worked a lot in your, so if you look at this slide and the bottom of the thing, there's a business stakeholder where you're talking about business intelligence and critical thinking. So this is an area that you are already expert in. So you have a good understanding of, I would say, the domain of telecommunications. Now you need to build up certain skills. I'm sure you must have done a lot of programming. Your mathematics must have been good, and so must be your statistics. If you can build up on that, and if you can pick up some relevant skills, you can become a great data scientist, or based on your choice, you can also become a great data engineer.
We have another question from Sumit Ranjan. He says, how much maths is required for ML? If one doesn't have good command over maths and want to become an ML engineer, then what should be the learning approach?
Okay, so I would suggest that if you are not very good with mathematics, not to worry because you're still good with something. You must be good with some certain areas of your expertise where you have to pick it up. Not to worry. As far as mathematics is concerned, you can still learn those skills. It's not a big deal of life. You can still pick up things. So there are areas in machine learning itself where you should be very good with, say your area of expertise may be very good with, say, let's just go back to the slide where you're looking at, so if you're not very good with, say, mathematics and programming statistics, you can pick it up down the line. But meanwhile, keep on sharpening your pencils as far as the programming skills are concerned, or scripting languages are concerned, database is concerned, machine learning algorithms. But if you have a good understanding of mathematics and probability and statistics, it does help you to understand the machine learning algorithms faster. As far as another choice that you can take up is, definitely you can aspire to be, say, a data analyst because you are very already good with certain things. So can you do a lot of visualization thing? I can again go back, because I really find it very hard when I'm building up a team. Can I get a good visualization person? So it's a boundary, as I said. I'll just repeat myself. It's a boundary between science and art. You have to take a call on. It's an excellent area. I personally love it. I really love this area of visualization.
Atul, we have another question from Pavitra. She says that she's currently working as a product support for 2 years. Is it possible to enter data science field from product support to data science? If
Uh,
yes, what are the baby steps that she should take for to immediately switch?
Okay, so you're already in the product support, so that means you have a good idea about certain products, and in the due course of time, you must have picked up certain skills that you would have, say, as far as your understanding of the domain is also concerned. So you see, now you'll be good with one of these areas. So programming, visualization, communication. Or let's go back a bit more further. Let's say, what do you aspire to be? Let me put it this way: what do you aspire to be out of these 8 roles that you're looking at? So if you aspire to be a good quality engineer, that's an excellent way because you're already in the area of product support. So you definitely, that means you understand a lot of product strengths and weaknesses. Can you help the company to build up a new product around these lines? That can be a good starting point for you as an individual. Also, can you aspire to be a business intelligence engineer or a data analyst? Any one of these career options at this time period as a starting point can be a good one for you.
Okay. I think that we're done with the questions. Thank you so much, Atul, for leading the webinar session for us. And it was great having you here. And thank you, everyone, for being such a wonderful audience.
Thank you.
In case you have missed any part of the session or if you have joined late, don't worry. We will share the recording with you over email tomorrow. Once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Niharika.
Bye bye.